1,800, 1,800 homes at,
Countywide.
or countywide?
Countywide. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll put together a map for you
Okay.
and get it over to you that shows those exact locations.
You will use the telephone poles?
We will. Yes.
Okay, I've already had this with Woodstream, and they're doing more work down their way now. Will they let you use their poles?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. As a competitive local exchange carrier in Kentucky, we have the right to access utility poles, and there's always a process with the pole owner to make sure that they know when and how we're attaching to their poles, and at the same time, there's sort of an everyone, when you have that CLEC status, has the right to attach. So, yes.
Well, next to the river, I have a problem. Windstream says they can't give them because they need to update all that. So how can y'all handle that if they can't let you use your poles? There's a lot of people down there that won't be able to get it if something's not done that way.
And I think in every project like this, there is a situation where a pole is too old or not big enough, or in bad condition. And so, in order to accept another attacher on the pole, you have to replace it with a different one, newer, better. And so I would expect we're going to see some of that here in Kentucky, or in Woodford County. In Kentucky, there is actually a program at the state level that will provide companies like All Points with a subsidy. When we have to do that, normally that new attacher has to pay, and there's a bigger, broader policy conversation about that. But for this project, as it stands today, we would anticipate, if we need to replace a pole, that will be something that happens.
Let me ask folks, if we want to keep Mr. Brown into the fiscal court meeting, we can.
No, I'm okay.
You're good? Anybody else think they have any additional questions? I think the most important thing he's given you is his number and his email, and he's very accessible. He's worked in this industry, and so we appreciate your time. Thanks for being here. One last final question: the 90 days for the contract discussions to be completed. When is that general deadline?
So that would be April 29th.
April 29th. So the contract, the next timeline for something to be done would be by April 20th.
At the latest.
Yeah.
Judge, I'd just be remiss if I didn't say that anybody that's having questions about whether or not they're going to be included, or they want to have a path towards appeal, they need to go to fiber.allpointsbroadband.com.
What was that?
Fiber.allpointsbroadband.com. Make sure that they sign up.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Brown. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.
You're free to be excused, and we will adjourn this Budget and Finance Committee and reconvene in full court. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call this meeting of the Woodford County Fiscal Court to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Squire Taylor.
Here.
Squire Gentry.
Here.
Squire Varner.
Here.
Squire Carl.
Here.
Squire Downey.
Here.
Squire Blackford. Squire Gill.
Here.
Squire Brown.
Let the record reflect that all members of the Fiscal Court are present and accounted for. Let's see. Tonight we have an invocation by Journey Student Minister, Mr. Zach Carmichael. Please turn on the mic, and we appreciate you praying for us tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. Let us pray. God, we're just grateful for this community, for this town that we all love, and thankful for these men and women that serve. God, just pray that they would be protected and guarded as they make decisions and do things for our community to better our community. God, we're grateful for this country that we live in, the freedoms that we have. And God, just pray a blessing on each person that's here. Pray for them as they serve, that they would do it diligently, and God, that you would just work through them in a powerful way. God, we're thankful for your Son, who gives us life and purpose and meaning. And we just pray your blessing on this meeting today. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you to Zach Carmichael and Tony Harden of Journey Church. We appreciate what you all do and your congregation does in serving needs in our community and all the missions and ministries that you all undertake. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Now I'd like to move on to public comment. Does anybody have any public comment wishing to address the court and or the public? Seeing none, then I will move on to our Good of the County program. The Good of the County, the greatest county in all the universe, Woodford County. We have a wonderful program tonight because we want to recognize 3 important Woodford Countyans who have done a lot to lead our community and unite our community over the past several decades. We have with us Mr. Kenneth Winkfield, Mr. George Higgins, and Mr. Tim Middleton. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you all so much for being here. I'd like to start out by talking about the Woodford County Roots and Heritage Festival Incorporated. These 3 gentlemen were instrumental in the foundation of the Woodford County Roots and Heritage Festival Incorporated, and it is a community organization whose mission is to educate, motivate, and provide activities that bring all of our community together. And that's what they've been successful in doing for many years. Influential and impactful leaders like Ken Winkfield, Tim Middleton, George Higgins, our own Larry Blackford, and someone we miss very much, Mr. Gary Jones, among other supporters and volunteers, founded the Woodford County Roots and Heritage Committee 17 years ago with the goal of hosting a Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration and breakfast. The founders, I understand, and George has imparted a lot of his wisdom and history, that they went to the city of Versailles, to the council, and they received $1,000 in support. Then they went to the county, Mr. County Attorney, and of course you know the county doesn't do donations, so Judge John Bear Coyle gave the gentleman $500 out of his own money as the seed funding to start this important community signature event. At that time, the city and the county said, here's a contribution, but don't come back. And the founders said they wouldn't be back and asked for additional funding, and they haven't come back, except for being here tonight to be recognized. They took that funding, and they have been self-sufficient ever since, building a sustainable, unifying community gathering that is the envy of many communities in Kentucky. The first celebration and breakfast was held at the Kentucky Castle. The second year was at Versailles Baptist Church, and it drew such a large crowd that they had to move on up to the First Christian Church, where it has been ever since. The Woodford County Roots and Heritage Committee worked hard and brought in many people to come together for a celebration And the committee's leadership, collaboration, and giving spirit brings Woodford Countyans together like no other event has done in this community or does. At that event, at the Martin Luther King Day breakfast, you see the full table of our fiscal court sitting together. You see Republican leaders and Democratic leaders and independent leaders all in the same room sharing fellowship and food. You see people who are not involved in politics, not involved in government. You see the youth of our community. And you see a wide diversity of Woodford County on full display, all coming together for the same thing, to celebrate what the committee is doing. It is a uniquely Woodford County event that our whole community is proud of and our whole community supports. And you just don't get that in every community across Kentucky. The committee is also responsible for many significant charitable and philanthropic efforts across the county. The main one being their highly successful scholarship to minority students to go to college. They partnered with the Human Rights Commission and Peggy Carter Seal. Evelyn Morton has been instrumental in that, but they have put 2 Woodford County kids through school, all the way through a degree, and paid for many more to earn countless numbers of college credits. And there are more students like Fabian Garcia at Midway University on the way. But they also have given back to the Relay of Life. They're prominent at the Twilight Festival. Sue, they've been a big supporter of the Huntertown Community Interpretive Park. In fact, I believe that one of the first contributions to the park was from the Roots and Heritage Committee. In talking to George Higgins, he said, "We can still come together, black and white and all backgrounds. We want everybody involved, and it's about giving back, supporting our children, and increasing efforts across the county to help others." George Higgins is the current president of the Roots and Heritage Committee, and George is a people person. He gets out, he talks to everybody in the community, and his main form of promotion is not Facebook, it's word of mouth. A lost art, but George is excellent at it. Coach George was a all sports athlete back in Woodford County. Played for Ed Allen at basketball. He was a sprinter. He was a hurdler. He played baseball and football. And he married Judy, a teacher, at 21 years old, and he had a baby boy. And he started working at Coleman Electric on the second shift while earning his degree at EKU. He graduated and he did some teaching. And then he went for an interview at Norfolk Southern Railroad, Squire Downey, where he worked for many, many years and retired. In retirement, he's done many, many different things, but he also helped Ed Stepp paint houses in retirement. He was one of the first people to integrate Versailles Elementary along with Isaiah and Glenn Wilson, Ed Stepp, Kenneth Winkfield, and other folks. He lived on Green Street. George has been working as long as he's been able. He started out mowing lawns. He was a bag boy and a stalker at the old A&P, and he's had a job as long as he can remember. But at that time, when he was at Versailles Elementary, his eyes were open for the need to unite our community, and that desire has driven him all the way to this point. His compatriots, fellow leadership, Mr. Kenneth Winkfield, has always been an important voice of the group, always emceeing the events and calling out the table numbers in a very, very humorous way. Ken serves as treasurer, and he has worked his whole career in corrections, one of the hardest jobs there is. And he still, to this day, works in corrections. And so we appreciate his hard work and his service, not only as part of the Woodford County Roots and Heritage Committee, but in a tough job like serving our communities in corrections. Also along their side is Mr. Tim Middleton, who has been a lifelong educator, a historian. He helps keep the taxes and the organization in compliance, and he's worked on the program for the committee for years. Now, George says that Tim always keeps a low profile, but he's always the one that makes sure things get done. We really appreciate it for all of you. Evelyn Morton, who's not with us tonight, is the longest serving board member other than the original founders. She served on the board alongside her husband, Donald Morton, for a time. Folks like Sarah Bird have long tenures on the board. Brenda Jackson served on the board. Current Midway City Council member Mary Ragland is a leader in the Midway community and serves on the board. The youth of our community has always been involved in this program. Lyles Taylor, as a young Kiwanian, served tables at that event. Kristen Wilson, who's a counselor at our church, has involved youth participation at the event each and every year. And George says, we gave to others, and in turn, they gave to us. That the giving is mutual and beneficial. After the celebration and breakfast, for many years, there was a service at First Baptist Church. That has gone away, but the march, currently led by Ryan Brown, has continued for over 38 years in this community on Martin Luther King Day. Every breakfast, John Coyle was the very first one there, in line for the food. John, and that did, now, George, if I get in trouble, you're the one that told me this. John was quoted as saying, color means nothing in this community. We are all beautiful, and we're all working with each other to unite our community. And I found it so prescient that George said, we can still come together. Still, we can come together despite all of the differences and division we face in this world. But the key of the committee is wanting to involve everybody, making everyone feel special and have a place. I want to mention a couple of the kids that the Minority Student Scholarship has paid for. But Tamia Joy, who is now at KET, and Jasmine Collins, another Woodford Countyan that has graduated on the back of this scholarship, which is amazing. Doug Smith always brought his memorabilia, his historical artifacts, and his collection of Dr. King and Black history. And that collection is extremely valuable and unique. It's one of the only of its kind in all of America. And that is at our committee's breakfast here in Woodford County. George said that the Woodford County Roots and Heritage, they looked at what Lexington and other communities were doing, and they decided that they wanted to do their own thing. They wanted to go their own way. They wanted to include as many people as possible, and they built it up year after year. And where once they had to ask people to come, now everyone knows about it and everyone comes. It's a hot ticket. Folks reserve it months in advance. Many first responders come. Local businesses give to the event. And now, where it's a national holiday, more and more people are off work to attend it. George says, I asked him how he kept it going. He said, you don't stop. You just keep going. Everyone in Woodford County goes to school together. They grow up playing together. We get along naturally and we know each other. It's like Mayberry. It's unbelievable. Everyone gets along and comes together. And I asked him, I said, George, it's hard to lead a group. How do you all stay in tune to make these big decisions? And he said, we talk, we understand each other, and we are committed not to fighting or fussing or arguing. We only work together. We don't argue. Sometimes there are ideas that everyone is not on board with, and sometimes we have to make tough decisions, but we refuse to be disagreeable, and we refuse to argue. That's a very, very important quote that I think all of us, especially members of the Fiscal Court, can remember. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Kenneth Wingfield, Mr. George Higgins, and Mr. Tim Middleton of the Woodford County Roots and Heritage Committee.
One thing, Judge, I think you've just given a live eulogy for George Higgins, and it was excellent. Thank you so much.
Hey, I told you Kenneth Wingfield was the voice of the group. George, come on up.
You pretty well said everything that I told you and we talked about. And I tried to talk about it at the breakfast. And it's just something that, I don't know, it's got some. It makes me feel good when I see people like tonight. I see all these people here, you know. Anytime I can see people here, and I know a bunch of them. Some of them probably I don't know, but I probably will before it's over with. But anyway, I'm a people's person. I'm hard. Now, I tell you what, I'm bad with names. So if I see you and you call me by my name and I turn around and don't say nothing, hey, that don't mean I don't know you. I've had that to happen to me at Kroger store plenty of times. But what I like to say is, we work together, do everything together, and we try to keep everything going. We try to keep eyes on what's happening in the community because a lot of things happen in the community that we don't know about, and we try to find, talk to people that do. And we find out anything, we're going to see if we can, get involved in it because that's how, that's what it's all about. If you're going to do some organization like this and have stuff like we're having, you need to know everybody and you need to know what's going on. You can't just go out here and make a snap decision on something that you don't know about. And we're involved in a lot of stuff here in Versailles. I mean, organizations, donations, food pantries. I got a list. I could go on Relay for Life and just, we do a little bit of everything. We want to do that. That's what we want to do. 'Cause like I told Judge, city give us money to get started, and we want to continue to do it. I told him, I said, we're getting old, and we just hope we can get some young people to learn how to do it and keep it going because it's something. And I told him last night. I talked to him when I was telling him last night. I talked to the mayor back in November when I was down there selling him tickets and getting his thing ready for the breakfast. And he was telling me he's talked to other people in other counties, and they understand. They know about Woodford County Root and Heritage, and he wanted to know what it was. They want to know what it's about. So he told them. He said it's, he said all our people, white, black, Mexican, anybody, all diverses. He said that's what it is. We all get together. We all know each other. We don't argue. We don't fuss and fight, bicker. We just do what we got to do. And he said he's had 5 or 6 of those people who wanted to, ask them. And I've been to several places and talked to their. I've been to organizations down in Frankfurt, not Frankfurt, Lincoln County, Stanford, and different places, and they want to know how we do things. And I'm supposed to go back and talk to them, and we're going to see if we can try to, get them started doing the same thing we're doing because everybody wants to do it. I mean, that's the way it is. We live in a crazy country, but at least we can have fun living in a crazy country together. And that's what it's all about. And I can talk all night, but I'm going to let somebody else talk.
Tim, you're up.
Just want to say that, this is something that you do. It has to be a thing done with grace and with God. It's nothing you do for gratitude or for shakes or if somebody says you did a good job. It's something you have to love to do. And every year when we have this breakfast, it just amazes me. It makes me feel good to see all those people inside. Talking, nobody mad, everybody angry, nobody angry. Talking and smiling at each other. I also want to reiterate that Brother Larry was with us on the first day when we idea first came up. Right. So he's one of the founders also. Thank you for recognizing us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. If we could, I'd like to present you all with this recognition of achievement on behalf of the Woodford County Fiscal Court.
If I could look towards this way.
Larry's coming to my seat. For himself.
But we know he hates to be the baby. All right, show you proclamation. Yeah, and I'll just want to hold up. At least there you go. Here's another one.
Oh, yeah, one more. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh.
Thank you all for your indulgence of time to recognize the founding members of the Roots and Heritage Committee, and we appreciate the entire committee and their work heretofore. Move on to the approval of the minutes of the special meeting of the Committee of the Whole, January 23rd, and the regular meeting. Are there any additions, corrections for any of those minutes? Are there any objections to approving same? Also seeing none, we will approve same without objection. I'll move on to committee reports. The Budget and Finance Committee met. We took up the Parks and Recreation funding model. It was unanimously recommended to approve the order of the court to jointly commit funds with the City of Versailles to fund the Parks and Recreation Capital Improvement Project as presented in the order. Is there a motion of the full fiscal court to adopt same? Motion by Squire Carl, second by Squire Taylor. Is there any discussion? Or any discussion that you all would like to see that was in our pre-meeting, which you can see online on both Facebook and YouTube, Madam Clerk? Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor of the approval of the order for the Parks Project Improvement Proposal, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
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 Motion carries. At the end of our meeting, we received an update from All Points Broadband, and I think the most important thing that we learned is that our liaison at All Points, Mr. Philip Brown, is accessible, can be emailed, can be called anytime, and that the deadline is April 29th for the contract between the state and All Points Broadband to be completed. We had the Chief of Police come and discuss the Versailles Police Department salary increases. Officers at the Versailles Police Department are receiving $10,000 salary increases as a retention effort to keep our police officers. We got the budget discussion and proposal of that, which does project to increase the fiscal court's contribution to the police contract in the next fiscal year. We did not take up the indigent fund requests. We will do that very likely at our next meeting. We approved the HVAC RFP for the Woodford County Courthouse Annex. I need a motion to adopt that recommendation of approval. Motion by Carl, second by Taylor. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. We discussed how the Woodford Foundation during the cold snap paid for hotel rooms for folks in need. And the Budget and Finance Committee unanimously approved the recommendation for Fiscal Court Order 2024-02 to appropriate $5,000 to the Woodford County Foundation for emergency temporary housing assistance and for the judge executive to do any and all actions and signatures necessary to enact that order. Is there a motion to approve same? Motion by Squire Taylor, second by Squire Varner. I'd open up the floor for any discussion on that vote. Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries. We outlined our budget process and discussed some of the things that the court can expect in this budget. We're beginning that process earlier than we have. I did not get to talk about the health insurance premiums for the county, but I will briefly mention that we are anticipating a large increase in that due to claims in county government, and that could impact our personnel budget. You all received, that is the total sum of the committee reports. Does anybody have any questions about the committee? Seeing none. The reports of the treasurer, you all have that. Madam Treasurer is traveling back from the national cheerleading competition. And so, but she was able to get her report in. And again, this report is the highest bank balance that the county has had. $16,639,539.82. I'd like to invite our county clerk up to give a report. Madam Clerk.
Sorry.
You're good.
Thank you for having me this evening. I wanted to give an update on our CAVIS rollout. By now, I'm sure you're aware that the state has rolled out this new statewide system called CAVIS, Kentucky Automated Vehicle Information System. It's been media has grabbed a hold of it and tried to let everybody in the public know that it was definitely needed. I was told that CAVIS was discussed at your last KMCA conference for the magistrates and the judges, and hopefully this information that was shared at your conference included how massive this overall project is. It took 350 million motor vehicle records moved over from the old system to the new system. It's a 50-year-old system that just had died, and we had no other choice. Unfortunately, more of bugs came over with the records that came over, and it's caused a few complications. The biggest complication that I can report is that during all of our training that we had in the tutorials that we were going through, of course it isn't a live situation at that point, the moment that it became live, and all of the agencies that this system interacts with, the Department of Revenue, Department of Insurance, Kentucky Interactive for our web renewals, all of this became a little bit challenging because of the interfacing that they had to do with what we do, and then to going out to the state agencies has caused a problem. So a lot of the programs that we were used to making just zing and do as an everyday performance became and still is day by day getting a little bit better, but it's just one of these things that we're trying to work through, and we've been very proud to say that we did utilize our time wisely as we were doing our training, the tutorials that were given. We had our own trainer that was in-house, so when we were shut down the first part of January, we were downstairs doing our group training, so we were ready. It's not a matter of us being deficient in our training. We were ready for the program. It's just the program is just not completely ready for the entire state. So, but we're getting through that. So you're probably wondering why I'm taking this time to explain these operational difficulties. It's because of the accuracy of the collection of all of the ad valorem taxes. It still has not been corrected by the developers of this system. I forwarded yet another question to the team this afternoon to find out when we may expect to have these discrepancies corrected on the state's monthly ad valorem tax collection journal. The answer that was today has been the same as what I have been hearing, that they do not know and they have no ETA. Consequently, this affects our excess fee payments being made to the county for December and January. As I'm sure you're curious about how much excess fees we're talking about, the month of December is usually less just because of the decreased traffic that we happen to have during that month. And then when January, the office was closed until the 12th of the month. That was when CAVIS was rolled out. We wouldn't have taken in that much money for that portion of the month that was closed. So as far as an estimated amount that was due to be paid for December and January, I can give you figures that were paid a year ago just for comparison, because we still cannot go in and drill down on exactly how much is to be dispersed. Last December of 23, the payment that was made was $50,125. January for 24 that you pay in arrears, so that was a $68,000. So this time last year we would have already put in $118,000 approximately. The reason this monthly ad valorem tax collection journal is of any significance to the payment of the excess fees to the county is because the correct amount of ad valorem taxes have to be paid to all of the taxing districts before the monthly reconciliation can be performed. The total amount left after all the tax disbursements are made are considered excess fees, and they're paid to the county at that point in its entirety. So we are waiting for us to get the final okay that all of the amounts are correct, so we won't have to be asking for any refunds from our taxing districts. So we're at a pause, and I just wanted to let you know that that's why. It's just one of these things that are totally, it's out of our control at this time, and aware that we want to make that payment timely, just like we always do, but we've got a few obstacles at this point. I'll be glad to entertain any questions that you all have. And
does anybody have any questions for the county clerk on Cavis? Yeah, Squire Taylor.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And this is just a more, an update because you've kept us abreast of everything, and I appreciate that. I was just wondering if we've heard from any of the taxing districts and how this is impacting them in the meantime, or if we're, if I know that I appreciate you sharing with the judge and the judge sharing with us the response you got from revenue. I want to make sure that even though they don't want to make a payment, that we don't need to get to a position where we have to do some kind of estimate amount to some of these taxing districts to make sure that they don't have a significant, I don't want to say go under, but that they don't have a significant impact. Have you heard anything of concerns from any of the taxing districts?
I haven't at this point. I sent an email to all of the taxing districts to explain what the delay is, and I haven't had any response back at this point. No one has reached out to ask for an estimated payment at this point as a partial payment. So if that were to happen, I would be sure to let the court know. But at this time, I haven't been contacted for such.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any other additional comments or questions? Squire Varner, you're recognized.
Yes. I just wanted to thank you and your staff. They were very gracious in working through that with me.
Good.
And some of the business and the way that I understand it, it's been tough.
It has.
And, so thank you very much, and thank you to your staff.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I second that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you so much.
You are more than welcome to be excused.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. We have our road department. We have two items. We need to approve a motion to transfer a 2011 Ford F-250 from the road department to the maintenance department. Is there a motion for same? Motion by Squire Brown, second by Squire Gill. Is there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. We also have a list of surplus items presented by the road department to authorize the surplus of same and for any necessary items to be authorized for sale on Gov Deals or otherwise appropriately dispensed with. Is there a motion to approve that list and authorize same? Motion by Squire Brown, second by Squire Varner. Seeing no questions, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. The motion carries. Madam Operations Supervisor, did you have anything additional for the court? Then you are more than welcome to be excused. Yep. We have the director of our Recycling and Solid Waste, Sherry McDaniel, is with us. Sherry, I'd like to start out by recognizing that Joe lost his brother-in-law, Wayne Lay. And we're sending our prayers to Joe and Lisa and the Lay family.
Okay, he's right here in the office, in the courtroom.
Joe, hiding in the corner. Hey, Joe, we're sending you our love and prayers. Sherry, you have two items, or no, you have one item for us.
I have two. One is it's annual report time, and we need to get the judge's signature on the litter abatement disbursements that we did make for last year. So I just need to get approval for his signature on that form.
Motion to approve, same? Motion by Squire Downey, second by Squire Gill. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. We do have an opening now. We did have someone leave our facility, so I would like to get approval to start the advertising for that position tonight.
Is there a motion to open and begin the advertising and hiring process for the open position at the Woodford County Recycling and Solid Waste Center? Motion by Squire Brown, second by Squire Varner. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously.
That's all I have, unless you have
Thank
anything
you.
for me.
No. Any questions? Squire Blackford, you're
I just want
recognized.
to thank Sheriff for a letter from my neighbors.
No problem.
Leave stuff out in the yard.
Yeah, we took care of you. You're welcome. welcome.
Thank you, Squire Blackford. Thank you, Director McDaniel. Thank you, Joe. We send your family our thoughts and prayers, and you all are more than welcome to be excused. But you can always hang out. Emergency Management, Director Drew Chandler.
Judge, I only had one item on the agenda for consideration this evening. That's an out-of-state travel request for Deputies Mills and Crabtree. As I've reported previously, our office is working towards accreditation, and this class at the Emergency Management Institute is a necessary step for being familiar with the emergency management standard. There's no inherent cost to attend the training. It's paid for by the federal government. Our staff is required, though, to buy the cafeteria meal tickets at the closed campus, and we could pay for that out of our travel funds without any issue.
Thank you, Director Chandler. Is there a motion to approve the request?
Motion.
Motion by Squire Carl. Second by Squire Downey. Are there any questions for the Director? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the request, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Judge, I wanted to share a piece of good news. No action requested at this time. Last fall, the court approved the application for another cybersecurity grant. We did receive word last week that we had been selected in the amount of $61,500, and that is for enterprise backups of all the systems throughout county government.
That is awesome.
There will be a contract to come at a later date.
Thank you. Thank you for that great news. Great work, Director Chandler. I move on to the general orders and the unfinished business. Mr. County Attorney, we have got an appointment to the Cemetery Board as a Republican representative with the approval of the Fiscal Court for a term of office of 4 years for 3 members and 3 years for 2 members. I would recommend for the Fiscal Court's approval, Ms. Angel Ragland to serve as the Cemetery Board appointment for 3 years. This will complete the constitution of that board so that they can take action. Motion by Squire Brown. Second by Squire Downey to approve the recommendation of the appointment of Angel Ragland to the Cemetery Board. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the approval, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. The claims, the bills to be paid by this county are before you. Are there any questions or comments on any of the bills to be paid? Are there any objections to any of the bills to be paid? Seeing none, I will approve the bills to be paid without objection. We have a transfer that needs a motion to approve. Motion by Squire Taylor, second by Squire Brown. All those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. The motion carries. Similar action for the approval of a personnel order. I need a motion thereon.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Carl, second by Squire Brown. Are there any questions regarding the personnel order? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving same, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. I'd like to thank the county attorney for working on the youth softball request, and we may have more information later as they, as we discussed, they will likely work with the Woodford County Board of Education and may appear back before us. But I appreciate the county attorney's diligent work on that. The long-awaited Bates security renewal for the Jack Jewett House is finally ripe for approval. The proposal is in the amount of $675 with a $56 monthly service rate for the Jack Jewett House Visitor Center and $875 with a $50 monthly service rate for the historic site upgrade and the security panels. Is there a motion to approve this Bates security renewal contract? Motion by Squire Gill, second by Squire Brown. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. The next matter is the matter of new business. That would be the KPDI. Resolution 2024-02 is a resolution of the court that supports the submittal of an economic development application to the Cabinet by Woodford County for property acquisition due diligence, road and infrastructure improvements for the expansion of the Edgewood Industrial Site located in Versailles in Woodford County. You all will note that we previously shepherded the KPDI program for Edgewood through the fiscal court. As the city government is the owner of that land, they cannot apply in their own name, and Woodford County, as a partner, has served to shepherd that through, and we were awarded a significant amount of funds in the first round. This is the second round of PDI approvals from the state, and it's a critical piece of funding that will help the city of Versailles complete the development of the Edgewood property as they have been working on. So I'd entertain a motion to adopt the resolution 2024-02. Motion by Squire Downey, second by Squire Varner. Now I'd like to open up the floor for any questions. I would just remind folks that this is the second iteration of this. We're doing the same thing as we did in the first iteration, and it has proven successful. But if anybody else has any questions or comments, the floor is open. Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the resolution 2022-02, supporting the PDI funds for the Edgewood, please vote and signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is a detention center vehicle surplus. They have a 1996 Ford F-250, and it needs to be surplus for disposal. Is there a motion to grant surplus of same? Authorized? Motion by Squire Blackford. Second by Squire Carl. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
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 Nay. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is the farm lease renewal between Fred Lane for a 1-year extension at the same or similar terms as presented. Is there a motion to approve the 1-year renewal of that farm lease? Motion by Squire Brown, second by Squire Varner. I would just note that the current parks proposal is a significant amount of funding that we will put in the current county park, not in the new park. So I don't think that there's any need for us to look to not renew that lease, to let Mr. Lane continue to farm. I would also add that over the course of several years, we've taken a few acres here and there from his property. We lost 2 barns on that property that he used, and yet we're keeping the same rate as before. And I think it's good to keep a Woodford County farmer farming, especially under these circumstances. Any questions or comments regarding the lease renewal? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving same, please vote and signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. And the motion carries unanimously. Next, we have training incentives for Squires Blackford, Gill, Brown, and Carl. And we need to approve those for calendar year 2024 pursuant to the statute 64.5275 subsection 6. Is there a motion to approve all same? Motion by Squire Varner, second by Squire Taylor. Seeing no questions, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, is there anything additional? We think we've done it. We'll move on to announcements. I'll start out with Squire Carl.
Okay. Judge, I just wanted to make note of a light that we got up at the village and also Simmons Elementary. Kind of lights up there for students and for police officers when they're there. That area wasn't lit up at all, but it's really nice there on the village side for that area and also for the school. Didn't take long either. I don't know. Made it work.
Good work, Squire Carl. Squire Varner, you're recognized, sir.
Just one sad note, lost aunt Jane Wynn. I know most of y'all, I know Squire Brown knows Billy Wynn, his widow, passed, and I just wanted to say we're gonna miss her.
Thank you, Squire Varner. And we also lost Sharon Nagel lived on Broadway, a family member of yours, and we lost Wayne lay, as I mentioned earlier, and I would offer a moment in silence in honor of those 3 Woodford Countyans who we lost and their families, if we could. Amen. Thank you, Squire Varner. I appreciate it. Squire Gentry, anything from you, sir?
Nothing, Judge. Thank you.
I think he said he was good. He's a man of few words anyway.
But many hand signals.
Many hand signals. Thank you, sir. Squire Taylor.
I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day and remind everybody that, particularly those that might be out right now, that you still have a few hours to pick something up if you haven't thought to do so.
Thank you. Squire Brown.
Nothing, Judge.
Thank you. Squire Gill.
I just want to draw everybody's attention to this Glens Creek watershed project that the University of Kentucky is working on. They're trying to get input from the community, and you can go to gcwatershed.org, and I've got this form here. It's got a URL code if anybody would want it. I've already filled this out. It's not hard, but they really want to know what the community thinks about that. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I took my survey. Thank you. Squire Blackford.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Squire Downey.
Thank you, Judge. Just reminding folks, next Wednesday is our Magistrates Day in Frankfurt. So if you haven't signed up to sign up for that, I have scheduled us the court with a meeting with our Senator Amanda Mays Bledsoe. So I would just ask if someone else on the court maybe could reach out to Representative Pfister, and we could schedule some time with him while we're in Frankfurt as well. So thank you.
And Senator Bledsoe suffered a pretty serious injury prior to the session, and she has been extremely responsive and working really hard. And we appreciate Senator Bledsoe's hard work on behalf of Woodford County and our senatorial district. Thank you, Squire Downey. Mr. County Attorney, sir.
Judge, I thought Squire Taylor was going to say you have a couple of hours left to still enjoy Fat Tuesday, which I plan on doing by eating heartily as soon as we leave here. And in addition, tomorrow, I hope everyone has a blessed Ash Wednesday. So, thank you, Judge.
I thought he was going to say, what were you going to say? What website is that? Yeah.
Fiber.allpointsbroadband.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that reminder again.
The Woodford Sun, any questions to clarify, anything additional?
Encourage subscriptions quickly renewal because we are about to go up. We are determined to save the Woodford Sun. So we're going to raise subscriptions and probably add rates soon. So thank you for all support, and to the clerk and the county attorney for their advertising as required by statute. But they're doing it with us, so we appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Scott White. Thank you, sir. I would let everybody know that on Monday, February 26th, as part of Black History Month in Woodford County, the Clifton History Project, Stories on the River, will be held at 6:30 at the Woodford County Library. You all know that we purchased the Clifton Boat Ramp as a fiscal court, and Bo Wilson and the Road Department have done a tremendous job in transforming that boat ramp. But that area, the Clifton area, Little Jamaica, it's had many names over the course of hundreds of years, has a deep and rich history that we are looking into. Tim Middleton, who is here tonight, is going to moderate that program. The Bomar and Stepp families are also involved, and we would encourage anybody with any memories, stories, pictures, historical artifacts about the boat ramp or the area's history to attend, to submit those to us, and that's a great program. I appreciate Sue Finney's help also in organizing that, and the library is partnering with the county to put that on. I mentioned that we recognized Tim Middleton, Kenneth Winkfield, and George Higgins tonight. I mentioned that our own Squire Larry Blackford was a founding member along with Gary Jones, who we miss. So thank you, Squire Blackford. But I also did recognitions of achievement for the current members of the Woodford County Roots and Heritage Festival, Inc., including the Honorable Mary Ragland, Eveline Morton, and Sherry Brown, who serve on that committee, and we will disseminate those to those individuals as well. Yes, we are in the romance capital of the world, Woodford County, Kentucky, where we have a castle that people get engaged at, where we have the Weisenberger Mill Bridge where people fall in love at. And how is it not impossible to not fall in love here in Woodford County, right? So you all have a happy Valentine's Day. You got something, Squire Carl?
The CPR classes on the 24th at the high school, if anybody wants to join. They already have 90 people signed up. It's free, open to the public. What time?
Starts at 9 a.m.
Okay. There you go. Free CPR classes, high school, 24th.
That is not what I meant by being the romance capital of Kentucky and getting mouth to mouth with a doll.
It's hard, right?
Oh man, I
Gotta
don't know.
be heart healthy.
Appropriate for the press, but I will
That's
note-
not good. Go ahead though.
I will note in last week's Woodford Sun, I'm sure everybody reads the 10 years ago, the 25 and the 40. To some of us, the 40 is more important, but 10 years ago, last week, Judge Kay got down on bended knee and
That's
asked
right.
young Kara to be his bride. She's from Midway, he's from Versailles, so that's Woodford County is for lovers.
Amen. Amen. And we're still going strong. Sometimes stronger than others, especially when I have late court nights and she's got to feed and bathe and get the kids to bed. So we better get out of here. We have the cats tonight. Cats need to pick it up. Thank you all. God bless you guys.